Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Today is the Advent anniversary of Bhagavad Gita.
今日係聖典博家梵歌嘅週年紀念日。
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll go over just a few things. Just like to remember the scene, what's going on.
咁我哋今日會有幾個重點講啦。咁首先講一講呢個背景先。
I read a little something today where it describes that in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the two parties got together and discussed the rules of engagement.
咁博家梵歌嘅開始咧，就係有兩組人咧聚埋一齊咧，係講一啲嘅規則先啊。
Equals would fight with equals.
咁就係平等咁樣嚟去開戰。
Those who surrendered would be let free.
嗰啲降服嘅人咧就會得到解脫。
And no charioteer, animal, or servants who are not soldiers were not to be attacked.
咁如果嗰啲唔係喺戰車上邊嘅咧，係唔係坐喺即係動物上面嘅咧？或者係冇武器嘅咧，嗰啲人係唔應該被攻擊嘅。
And when they agreed to these things, everything was finalized, and they decided to abide by these rules.
咁當雙方聽到呢啲規則嘅宣讀，亦都冇反對嘅時候咧，佢哋就即係願意係就係遵守呢啲嘅規則。
Here's something that I hadn't read before. That right at the beginning or the eve of the war, the day before the war, Vyasadeva visited the palace of Dhritarashtra.
咁喺戰爭嘅前一日咧 ，Vyasadeva 咧就係去探訪呢個戰地嘅。
Dhritarashtra was the son of
係去探
Vyasadeva.
訪 Dhritarashtra， 即係
She makes a mistake, correct her, okay? Anybody that speaks English, she has a hard time sometimes. She gets nervous a little bit. So Dhritarashtra was the son of Vyasa.
咁Dhritarashtra 咧就係 Vyasadeva 嘅兒子。
And he understood what was going to happen.
咁佢亦都好清楚咧係將會發生咩事。
He knew the Pandavas were going to be victorious and the Kauravas were going to be defeated.
咁佢好深知道咧Pandavas 咧會係即係勝利者啊，而Duryodhana 嗰一邊咧會係戰敗嘅。
So Vyasadeva, as a great sage, and granted his brother that you will be able to you'll have the vision, you'll be able to see the Bhagavad Gita or the war taking place.
咁 Vyasadeva 咧就係承諾咧佢個兄弟即係 Dhritarashtra 咧會係一路咁樣咧係會睇到呢場戰爭嘅進行。
So Dhritarashtra said, "I've been blind my whole life. I don't want to be able to see all my sons being killed on the battlefield and all my relatives and friends being killed. Better you don't let me, but just assign somebody else to be able to envision it."
咁 Dhritarashtra 就講啦，佢話我一生都係盲嘅，都睇唔到嘢嘅。咁喺呢個時候咧，我就唔想睇到我嘅兒子或者我啲親人咧喺戰場上邊咧係殺死啊！佢話你最好咧係指派另外一個人咧可以全程咁樣觀察呢一個戰爭。
So this is how. Whoa, what's going on with this one? There's no knob here. That's okay. I think it's good now. So he was. Sanjaya was given the ability to see the battle and to explain it to King Dhritarashtra.
咁所以咧 ，Sanjaya 咧就係得到呢一個嘅視域咧，係可以即係睇到戰場上發生嘅一切，然後咧就由佢彙報俾Dhritarashtra 知道。
Hare Krishna. Again, as I said, after this, the entire situation or the entire activities on the battlefield were revealed to Sanjaya to speak to the blind king.
咁正如頭先所講啦，咁所以呢一場戰爭咧係由頭到尾咧 Sanjaya 咧都係觀察到，亦都係可以將佢匯報俾 Dhritarashtra 知道。
So it was said that Dhritarashtra was arranging his army, and in the beginning of the first chapter, it's described how he wanted to protect Bhishma Dev.
咁Dhritarashtra 咧安排咗一場戰爭啦。咁喺頭嗰幾個章節裏邊咧，佢就係一路都係保護住Bhishma Dev 嘅。
They had one Akshuhini of army comprises of, this is going to be hard for translation, 21,874 chariots.
咁佢哋有一個陣啦，即係擺咗啲陣咧，就有21,870。21,000。
21,000.
21,870
chariots.
嘅戰車。
The same number of elephants.
咁亦都有同樣數目嘅大象。
65,000.
65,000。
610.
610
horses.
嘅馬匹。
109,000.
咁就有109,000。
350 men.
350個士兵。
And they arranged it in a special formation to fight the battle.
咁佢哋咧就係排成一啲好特別嘅方陣咧，去喺呢場戰爭裏邊。
Some of these things I may have heard, but I don't remember. But it's described here that Bhishma gave a talk to all the warriors on the Kauravas side.
咁曾經睇過或者聽過咧，係喺戰爭開始之前咧 ，Bhishma Dev 咧係作過一個嘅講話嘅，對啲士兵在場嘅士兵。
He said that today is a very auspicious day. The gates of heaven are open to all the Kshatriyas who are fortunate enough to die on the battle.
咁佢話今日係一個好吉祥嘅日子啊，因為今日咧就係為所有喺戰場上邊戰敗、戰死嘅士兵咧，係大開咗呢個天堂之門嘅。
He said there's no glory for a Kshatriya to die in bed or to die of sickness. Battlefield is the only glorious place to die for a Kshatriya.
咁佢話咧，對剎帝利嚟講咧，冇任何地方，例如喺床上邊啦，或者喺其他嘅地方係死去嘅，只有喺戰場上面死去咧，先係最光榮嘅。
So he said, do not worry or don't think about tomorrow. Do your best in the war.
咁你哋咧係唔需要擔憂明天係點樣啊？你總之喺戰場上面咧盡力而為就得啦。
So how do I say this? They're lined up. Of course, we know this from the first chapter. There was a huge army on the Kaurava side. Of course, Yudhisthira had a good army too. The army was very, very huge. The Kauravas had 11 of these Akshuhinis, and the Pandavas, I do believe they had 7.
咁Duryodhana嗰一邊嘅軍隊咧，就有11個好龐大嘅軍陣啊，而Pandava嗰邊咧只係得7個嘅啫，呢啲咁嘅軍陣。咁所以咧Duryodhana嗰邊嘅軍隊咧，嗰個勢力係比Pandavas嗰邊咧係強大好多嘅。
So Arjuna and his army, they realized Bhishma was able to kill everyone.
咁Arjuna佢一講面啦，咁佢就好明白Bhishma Dev 咧係有能力咧係殺死晒所有啲人嘅。
And Arjuna knew the favorite. What's the word for them? He knew his favorite way to arrange the army. On Bhishma's side, so Arjuna said, I'm going to make one which will counteract that one.
咁Arjuna咧就係嘗試咧係用一個最好嘅方陣咧去抵抗 Bhishma Dev 所排列嘅陣營。
So they assigned different people to protect different warriors to protect different warriors.
咁佢哋咧就安排咗唔同嘅將領咧，係保護某一個特定嘅將領。
Drishtadyumna was in the center, so Bhima and Yudhishthira were protecting him. Arjuna was supported Sikandi, so that there would be protection for everyone.
咁例如啦，Bhishma Dev 就會保護。
Drishtadyumna was protected. Drishtadyumna was in the center. Bhima and Yudhishthira protected him. So Bhima and Yudhishthira protected Drishtadyumna.
Drishtadyumna 就喺中間。
Draupadi's cousin, Draupadi's twin brother.
Draupadi's cousin.
Twin brother. Drishtadyumna.
哦 ，Drishtadyumna。就喺正中間，咁然後咧，佢周圍咧就有好多好強大嘅將領咧，係保護住佢。
The king Drupada had a challenge with Duryodhana.
咁 Drupada 咧就係向Duryodhana 有一個好大嘅挑戰。Drupada 係 Draupadi 嘅父親。
He was promised certain things that never happened, so Drupada performed a sacrifice by which he could get someone that could kill the teacher Dronacharya.
咁 Drupada 咧，佢為咗即係確保係唔會被殺啦，咁佢就做咗一個火祭，咁就得到一啲祝福咧，係會殺 Dronacharya。
So from that fire sacrifice, two living beings came, Drishtadyumna and his sister Draupadi. Draupadi was known to be like an effulgent black person, like this very, very effulgent, like a black diamond or something.
咁喺嗰個火祭裏邊咧，就有兩個人物出現咗。咁一個咧就係 Drishtadyumna， 另外一個咧就係 Draupadi。咁 Draupadi 咧就係佢嘅皮膚咧就係好光燦嘅，係黑色嘅皮膚，但係充滿亮光嘅。
So we know that this Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna by Krishna, and it's described here that the Bhagavad Gita provides a concise conclusion of the millions of verses contained in all of the Vedic scriptures. It's a very concise version of millions of verses. There's only 700 verses in the Gita.
咁博家梵歌咧就係 Krishna 咧係親自對 Arjuna 講述嘅，咁裏邊咧就係涵蓋咗所有偉大經裏邊數以百萬計嘅詩節裏邊嘅精華嘅，係濃縮咗嘅。
So just like in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada explains that the Bhagavad Gita should be studied in the same way or the same mood it was heard by Arjuna.
咁聖巴巴喺博家梵歌嘅導言裏邊咧，佢話我哋咧要閱讀或者理解博家梵歌，正如好似 Arjuna 咧點樣去理解 Krishna 對佢講嘅。
I think it's the 4th chapter where Krishna tells Arjuna, I'm describing this to you because you are my friend and you are not envious.
咁喺博家梵歌第4章咧 ，Krishna 就對 Arjuna 講，佢話我對你講述呢啲咧，係因為你係我嘅朋友啦，因為你亦都係唔會窒到我嘅。
So this is our mood. The reason, one of the main reasons, what I've heard, we are in this material world because of our envy for the Supreme Lord.
咁所以呢個就係我哋最重要嘅心髓啊！當我哋讀博家梵歌嘅時候，咁我哋點解嚟咗呢個物質世界咧？亦都係因為我哋咧係窒到 Krishna。
And at least, as in the introduction, Prabhupada would say that, at least theoretically, we should accept the position of Krishna as God. These words that are spoken here are spoken by God to Arjuna.
咁 Krishna 就講，佢話咧最少咧，你要接受，即係我咧就係神嘅，就係呢個咧就係Krishna 咁樣對 Arjuna 講。
It has to be accepted in a submissive mood, tadvidi pandipastina pandipaseva sevaya, that one should approach the spiritual master, as Arjuna is doing here, with a mood of service and submission.
咁我哋接觸薄伽梵歌咧，正如好似我哋接觸靈性導師一樣啦，要以一個係順從嘅，同埋係降服嘅心態去接受。
So Bhagavad Gita is also known as the handbook for humanity.
咁薄伽梵歌亦被稱為咧係我哋人類生存嘅手冊。
As Prabhupada would often say, it's not meant just for a certain type of person, the Hindus or the Indians. It's meant for everyone, every place, at any time.
咁呢本經典咧，唔係只單單咧係為俾印度教啦，或者任何嘅教派宗派，而係咧係為所有不同種類階級嘅人。
And it was described in the introduction that the Bhagavad Gita is spoken to guide us, the conditioned souls here, on the path of spiritual advancement. This is the purpose. We're trying to make spiritual advancement.
咁薄伽梵歌嘅講述咧，就係為咗咧係引導我哋咧喺靈修上面嘅進步。
It has some details and some principles, but the dominating principle is that we want to develop our love for Krishna.
咁裏邊有好多細節嘅描述啦，亦都有好多大原則。咁而我哋最大嘅原則咧，就係要培養對 Krishna 嘅愛。
So Krishna will describe many, I guess you could call them many paths or many opportunities for doing this, but then he reveals the final purpose is to bhakti yoga, or returning back home, back to Godhead.
咁裏邊咧就描述咗好多唔同嘅途徑去達到呢個覺悟。咁但係最後咧 ，Krishna 咧就係終結咧就係話呢個奉愛瑜伽咧先係最終嘅至高無上嘅呢個修行嘅方法。
Another place in the introduction, Prabhupada asks a question, just what is the Bhagavad Gita?
咁喺導言嗰度咧，聖巴巴亦都發出一條問題啊！佢只係問咧，薄伽梵歌其實係乜嘢嚟嘅咧？
So just what is Bhagavad Gita?
只係問下薄伽梵歌係乜嘢。
So Prabhupada answers this in a very interesting way. He says the purpose of Bhagavad Gita.
咁聖巴巴咧以一個好有意義嘅方式去答，佢話咧，我哋就係要知道閱讀薄伽梵歌嘅目的係乜嘢。
Most of the time when people ask us what something is, we just tell them what it is. Like if I were to say, what is this? You'll say it's a cup. You won't tell me it's a cup to hold liquids and this. You'll just tell me it's a cup.
咁好多人咧，當我哋答一條這是什麼呢條問題嘅時候咧，佢哋只會俾呢件物件嘅名，正如好似我揸住嗰個杯，我問你呢個係咩嚟，咁你只會話呢隻係隻杯，佢就唔會再去詳述其他嘅要點。
So just what is the Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence.
咁所以咧，薄伽梵歌嘅目的咧，就係要拯救人類從呢個物質存在嘅無知嗰度咧，係拯救出嚟。
They have that word nescience in Chinese. Nescience, yeah.
Nescience 係中文，
Yeah,
就係
ignorance,
無知。
ignorant of our material existence. And the idea is to deliver us from that nescience into the realm of enlightenment.
咁所以我咧就係將我哋從呢個物質存在嘅無知裏邊咧，係將我哋拯救出嚟咧，去到呢個聽唔到 to what I missed
Lead us into enlightenment. Lead us to liberation.
咁咧就係帶領我哋去到呢個覺悟啦，同埋解脫。
So again, as we were discussing before, who is the person that needs Bhagavad Gita?
咁跟住條問題咧就係話邊個需要薄伽梵歌咧？
Or who is the Bhagavad Gita meant for?
或者另外一個問法就係話薄伽梵歌係為誰而寫嘅咧？
So Prabhupada continues in his introduction, everyone is in difficulty in so many ways.
聖巴巴話咧，佢話我哋人類咧所有嘅人咧都喺唔同方面咧係有好多嘅困難嘅。
And he compares it to Arjuna being in so much difficulty, having to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra.
咁佢就舉阿 Arjuna 為例啦，佢而家咧就係為咗面對呢場戰爭咧，佢就係有好多嘅問題。
So it's described here, everyone is facing so many difficulties, just as Arjuna was. But what was Arjuna's conclusion? That he's, okay.
咁就係啦，我哋就係好似阿 Arjuna 咁樣啦，係每日都面對好多唔同嘅問題嘅。
Because of his difficulties of fighting fratricidal, like a family war, it was very difficult for him. So Arjuna surrendered to Krishna.
咁正因為阿 Arjuna 要面對呢一場兄弟相殘嘅戰爭咧，所以佢冇辦法咧，就最終就係降服俾 Krishna。
So the consequence or the effect of his surrendering to Krishna brings out Krishna's one of their purposes was to reestablish religious principles and to speak Bhagavad Gita once again.
咁正因為阿 Arjuna 喺呢個情景之下咧，臣服俾 Krishna， 咁就讓 Krishna 咧有機會咧係再將呢個宗教嘅原則咧重建翻出嚟。
Again, not only Arjuna is full of anxieties or full of challenges, and this is on my Hare Krishna business card. This is a really good statement. I passed this one out. Okay, so Arjuna, not only Arjuna, but everyone is full of anxieties because of our material existence.
咁每個人咧，唔單止係阿 Arjuna 啦，都係充滿咗好多嘅物質存在嘅呢啲焦慮啊。
Why are we in so much anxiety over our material existence?
點解我哋喺呢個物質存在裏邊有咁多嘅焦慮呢？
Because our nature is eternal.
因為我哋嘅本質本來係永恆嘅。
And we're placed in a place of non-eternality, a temporary place.
咁但係我哋咧被置於一個係唔係永恆嘅地方，只係短暫嘅地方。
Prabhupada's word here is that everyone is full of anxiety because of material existence. Our very existence is in the atmosphere of non-existence.
咁我哋每個人所有嘅焦慮咧，都係源於咧，我哋係被置於喺一個咧係唔恆久嘅地方啊。
Okay. Do you understand what our existence being in non-existence means?
咁你明唔明咧？我哋存在嘅其實係存在一個唔存在嘅情況之下。
Prabhupada explains that actually we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our existence is eternal.
咁聖巴巴講，佢話咧，其實我哋咧係冇必要咧被呢啲唔存在嘅本質所恐嚇。我哋實際上咧，我哋係存在嘅。
But somehow or other we have been put into asat. Asat refers to that which does not exist or that which is temporary.
咁但係我哋好不幸咧，被置於一個咧係短暫嘅狀況之下，即係呢個短暫就係我哋所以講嘅唔存在嘅狀況之下。
Seventh chapter describes that out of many thousands, many human beings who are suffering, which is everybody in the material world is suffering.
咁第七章就講到咧，每一個喺呢個物質存在裏邊咧，都係喺度受苦嘅。
There may be actually a few who are inquiring about their actual position.
咁只係咧係有好少數嘅人咧，只係會詢問有關佢哋嘅存在呢個問題嘅。
Because their position is contrary to their nature.
因為佢哋嘅存在咧係同佢哋嘅本質咧係相違背嘅。
Because we are in an atmosphere of non-existence, which is contrary to our nature.
因為我哋咧係被置於一個氛圍裏邊咧，呢個氛圍係短暫嘅，但係我哋本質上咧，我哋應該係永恆嘅。
So if someone has a little intelligence, they'll want to know what they are and why they're put in such an awkward position in this material world.
咁嗰啲有少少智慧嘅人咧，都會開始問咧，點解我哋會係被置於一個咁尷尬嘅處境裏邊嘅咧？點解我哋會被置於一個咁短暫嘅處境裏邊？
Here's a point Srila Prabhupada brought up many, many, many times in his lectures, what to speak of his books.
咁聖爸爸其實喺佢即係好多嘅講課裏邊咧，佢都係提出咗呢一點嘅，不單止喺博家梵歌佢提出。
Unless one is awakened to this position of questioning his suffering.
咁除非一個人咧係開始醒覺，然後咧係會即係知道自己喺度受緊苦。
And unless he realizes that he doesn't want to suffer.
亦都係除非佢開始感到唔想再受呢個苦。
But he actually wants to make a solution to this suffering.
而咧係決心咧係要解決佢呢一種受苦嘅狀況。
If we don't come to this position of this type of questioning, one is not considered to be even a human being. They're no more than the cats and dogs.
咁如果人咧係唔能夠達到呢一個嘅層面咧，去詢問或者要去解決佢嘅狀況，呢個受苦嘅狀況咧，咁佢喺呢個狀態咧根本就同即係動物啊、貓狗無異啊。
So Prabhupada says humanity begins from this point when we make inquiry to our, what would you say, our awkward position.
咁所以成為人類咧，就係從呢一點開始咧，係先至係作為一個人啊，你開始詢問，亦都係尋求解決你而家處喺呢個咁尷尬嘅地位。
Just as in the first verses of the Bhagavatam, Atato Brahma Nigasa, every living entity should inquire about their position in this material world.
正如好似博家亞談咧喺第一篇第一章第一節咧已經開始咧，佢就講佢話每個人咧都應該開始發問呢個問題咧，就係話點解我係會受苦啦？我點解會擺喺一個咁尷尬嘅處境裏邊
？Because it's stated that every activity of the human being is considered what? Anybody know? You can ask the question in Chinese.
Yes. 咁你哋知唔知道呢條問題係乜嘢啊？
Every activity in this material world is considered to be
係呢個問題咧，就係話我哋喺人類社會裏邊每一個行為咧係被視為乜嘢啊？
All of our material activities, everything we do in this material world, devoid of Krishna consciousness, is what?
咁我哋喺呢個物質存在裏邊所有嘅活動，如果冇 Krishna 知覺嘅話，被視為乜嘢啊
？A failure. It's simply a failure.
都係只係失敗嘅啫。
It's a failure unless we inquire about the nature of the supreme absolute truth.
就因為所有嘢都係失敗，所以我哋就要開始咧係去詢問有關呢個絕對真理。
So Prabhupada explains that is this type of people, this type of person who know they're suffering and know they want to find a proper solution to this. This is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita for those types of people who are interested in releasing themselves from the clutches of material existence.
咁博家梵歌嘅用意咧，就係為呢一啲有智慧嘅人咧，係佢開始咧係明白到自己嗰個尷尬嘅處境啦，然後咧就係開始決心尋求去解決呢個問題嘅方法。咁呢個就係博家梵歌嘅目的。
Explains by Prabhupada here that the sincere student should have a firm respect for Krishna, just as Arjuna had that respect for Krishna. Shishashi, that he became the disciple of Krishna.
咁所以咧，博家梵歌嘅學生咧，應該好似阿 Arjuna 咁咧，係有一個好堅定嘅亦都係好真誠嘅對 Krishna 有呢個信心。咁佢係會投靠俾 Krishna。
So as we're mentioning those points from the 7th chapter, that in order to establish the real purpose of life, when we forget it, out of many, many millions of those who are awakened, there may be one who actually enters into the spirit or the true understanding of the Bhagavad Gita.
咁喺《家梵歌》第7章咧，亦都講述咧，就話喺千百萬人之中咧，可能有一個人咧係會真心誠意咁咧，係希望揾出呢個答案嘅。
Here's another one of Prabhupada's strong statements.
咁跟住咧，聖爸爸亦都有另外一個好強硬嘅話語。
Actually, we are all swallowed up by the tigers of nescience or ignorance.
咁聖爸爸話，其實我哋所有人咧，都係被呢種無知啊，就係咧係吞噬咗。
Therefore, the Lord is very merciful upon the living entities, especially human beings. To this end, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjuna his student.
咁主咧係好仁慈啦，咁佢就係為咗呢個原因咧，佢就透過Arjuna呢一個戰爭呢一次機會咧，就係教導我哋咧係呢個方法解決呢個問題嘅方法。
A nice verse. Ajopi sandavanaya ma bhutanam istridopi sampakatim samadistaya atmamaya. By his causeless mercy, Atmamaya, by Krishna's causeless mercy, he gives us this information. It is Krishna's causeless mercy.
咁所以呢個咧就係 Krishna 嘅無緣故嘅仁慈，所以佢先至咧係俾咗呢一個嘅知識我哋。
Prabhupada continues to explain that Arjuna is not actually in ignorance. He's actually an associate of Krishna, but he was placed into ignorance by Krishna so that Krishna could speak the Bhagavad Gita.
咁再講清楚咧，就係Arjuna咧其實唔係喺一個愚昧狀態嘅，因為佢係 Krishna 嘅同遊嚟嘅。只不過咧係Krishna 咧將佢置喺一個咁嘅角色裏邊咧，係提供一個機會咧，係讓 Krishna 咧可以將呢個知識咧係講翻出嚟。
He was placed in this ignorance, Prabhupada explains here, to question the problems of life so that he could explain this for the benefit of future generations of the human beings so we can map out a way to get out of this material entanglement.
咁Arjuna咧就係被放喺一個愚昧嘅狀態裏邊咧，然後咧就提出啲問題。咁 Krishna 咧就會將呢個問題嘅答案咧係帶出啦，然後我哋每一個人咧就用自己嘅方法係去理解呢啲嘅知識，係去解決自己嘅問題。
And by doing this, we have the opportunity to act according to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and we can actually perfect the mission of human life.
咁所以我哋有咗呢個知識之後咧，我哋就根據自己嘅狀況咧去解決問題啦，然後咧就尋求將呢個知識咧亦都係傳揚俾其他人。
What is that distinguishes us from animal life? Or what is the distinction that human life has over all other life forms?
咁人類嘅特徵同其他動物嘅特徵有咩唔同啊？
We have an ability. What is that ability? Inquire. Yes, Vaishaka. To inquire.
就係我哋會發問啊，我哋會詢問啊。
Our consciousness has the ability to acquire. Yes, our consciousness.
我哋有意識啦，而呢個意識咧係導致我哋係懂得去發問。
A dog also has consciousness. He doesn't have the ability to inquire.
一隻狗咧都有意識嘅，但係佢嘅意識咧係唔促使到佢去識得發問題。
He only has the ability to eat, sleep, mate, and defend.
咁佢嘅意識只係去到一個食、瞓、交配同埋防衛。
There are 5 topics discussed in Bhagavad Gita.
咁喺《家梵歌》裏邊咧係講述5個主題嘅。
Raise your hand if you know one.
咁如果你知道一個咧，你請舉手。
Jai Shri. Ishwar, Krishna. Raise your hand if you okay.
就係 Krishna 啦。
Yes, please. Behind you, please. Huh? Jiva, yes.
咁第2個就係個體靈魂。
Time.
第3就係時間。
What's that? Prakriti, material nature.
物質自然。
Yeah, karma.
最後就係業報。
All of these five, out of these five, 4 are eternal. Which one is not eternal? Raise your hand.
咁五種元素之中，4種都係永恆嘅，只有一種係唔永
Yes.
恆嘅，
Karma, very good, Mataji, very, very good karma.
就係業報唔係永恆嘅。
So how is it that karma is not eternal where everything else is?
咁點解karma 業報唔係永恆嘅咧？而其他4個都係永恆嘅？Can be changed. Can be changed.
It can be changed, yeah. We have the opportunity in this life to make decisions that will free us from the nescience of material existence.
咁我哋可以利用我哋今生咧，係行事嘅作風咧，係讓我哋咧係即係將呢啲 karma 釋放咗。
Oh, it's my turn. Sometimes I forget when the translations come. So Ishvara, Jiva, one of the things that Prabhupada brings out, which is, I don't want to say common for Srila Prabhupada because that puts a personality distinction on him, but he brings this up all the time.
咁聖巴巴咧係有一點咧，佢成日都提出嘅。
So when this part of the introduction, he says, first of all, the science of God is explained, the constitutional position of Krishna and the position of the jivas. Ishwar means the controller, and the jivas, the living entities, are controlled.
咁講5點咧，就係話 Isvara 就係神啦，Jiva 就係控制者啦，咁然後就係個體靈魂，個體靈魂就係被控制者。
Here's another one of my favorites. I mean, I read this introduction all the time. It's just such a great read.
咁我好多時都會閱讀呢個導言嘅，因為呢個導言咧寫得實在係好好。
Practically speaking, if you don't have time, which is not true, to read the Bhagavad Gita, if you read this introduction, you'll have everything that's contained in the Bhagavad Gita in a concise form. So, like, what is it, 30-some pages? 700 verses are a concise version of the millions of verses in the Vedas. An introduction in 30-some pages is a concise version of the Bhagavad Gita in Prabhupada's introduction.
咁呢個導言咧，其實就係濃縮晒所有即係博家梵歌嘅知識。嗱，博家梵歌700個詩節啦，就係所有偉達裏邊嘅所有詩節嘅濃縮。咁而我哋呢個導言咧30零頁咧，就係所有呢啲嘅知識嘅濃縮。
So again, Prabhupada would say that the Ishwara is the controller and the Jiva is controlled. And he says, if a living entity says that he is not controlled but that he is free, then he is Chinese.
咁聖巴巴就講，佢話嗱 ，Isvara 就係控制者啦 ，Jiva 就係被控制者啦。咁如果有人話俾你聽，佢唔受控制嘅，咁所以呢個人就係點啊？你覺得呢個人係點啊？
If a living entity says he's not controlled but that he is free, then he is, yes.
Controlled by the material energy Maya.
That's true. But why does he become controlled by the material energy? What is his problem? He is insane.
咁個答案就係咧，佢係瘋狂嘅。
Only a crazy person will think that he's not controlled by something.
只有一個瘋狂嘅人咧，先至會諗咧，佢係唔受任何嘢控制。
I'm constantly controlled by my permanent dry mouth where I have to drink water like every 20 seconds. I'm under the control.
我自己本人咧就係永恆地咧被我呢個口渴呢個本能咧係控制嘅，因為我成日都會覺得口渴嘅，我就係被控制啦。
As Prabhupada says here, only an insane person would think such a thing.
所以只有嗰啲瘋狂嘅人咧，先至會諗自己咧係唔需要被任何嘢控制。
Because we're controlled in every single aspect of our life.
我哋其實喺生活任何每一個細節咧，都係備受控制。
So now, what is that energy or that aspect of Krishna that controls us as living entities in this material world. What is the apparatus or what is the facility that he uses to do that?
咁 Krishna 咧係用乜嘢嘅便利條件啊，或者用啲咩方法咧，讓我哋時刻都係被控制嘅？
I'll give you a clue. What are we being controlled by now?
俾個提示你咧，我哋而家被乜嘢控制緊啊？Maya。
There's 3 aspects.
哦，有3個各方面嘅，3方面嘅。
Raise your hand, Raj.
舉手。
Yeah. Material nature. Material nature is composed of 3 modes. What are the 3 modes? Goodness, ignorance, and passion. Which one is always the winner?
Ignorance.
Which one of the 3 is always in control?
Ignorance.
No. In 14th chapter, we read it on Wednesday. Oh, passion. Nice try. Which one always has supremacy?
咁我哋受緊乜嘢控制咧？我哋時刻就係呢個物質自然3屬性。咁呢個物質自然3屬性就係善良形態、激情形態同埋愚昧形態啦。咁Maharaj 頭先問嘅一條問題就係我哋時刻受緊乜嘢？最受乜嘢嘅形態所控制？
Keep trying.
Ignorance, no.
I just don't remember the exact words. Text number 10, chapter 14.
14章
It will reveal to you which
第10
one
節。
is always prominent.
咁裏邊咧就
The winner.
講咗呢3個形態裏邊邊個恒常咁咧係霸咗呢個主導嘅位置。
I'll read this first and then I'll ask the question again. Which one is the winner?
咁我讀呢個詩字啦，然後我會再問你邊個係主導。
Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance. And sometimes ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there's always competition for supremacy. So which one is the winner?
咁詩字裏邊咧講咧，佢話有時咧係善良形態咧就係打倒呢個激情同埋愚昧形態，但有時咧激情形態咧亦都會戰勝呢個善良同埋愚昧形態嘅，而愚昧形態亦都會係
None of the 3. Or some of the 3. I mean, some of the time they are, but most of the time they're not.
咁所以其實每一個形態都有機會主導嘅。咁個答案咧就係話冇一個係絕對主導嘅。其實佢哋成日都喺度競爭。
Trying to see my notes in the introduction here. Okay, let's go into this section because Prabhupada explains Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti.
咁聖巴巴講啦，係我哋嘅
I'm
個體
waiting for
靈
you to fill
魂
in
啦。
the last 2. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Yeah, there we
咁
go.
就係講翻頭先嗰5個重要嘅主題。
So, Prabhupada asks again the similar question, what is material nature?
咁聖巴巴就再問一條問題，就係話物質自然是什麼？
And this is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as Prakriti or the inferior nature.
咁呢個Prakriti 呢個物質自然咧就係呢個低等嘅能量。
Now the living entity is explained as what type of Prakriti?
咁我哋生物體咧係屬於乜嘢嘅能量咧？乜嘢嘅物質自然咧
Yeah.
？Margin。
Well, we're marginal.
我哋係邊際能量。
I don't ask the questions completely correctly. The The living entity isn't just like Prakriti, material energy. The living entity is superior Prakriti. In other words, he manipulates and utilizes Prakriti.
咁其實個體靈魂咧係唔係被物質自然控制嘅？佢係超越物質呢個能量嘅，佢係可以控制到呢個物質能量嘅。
So Krishna has these two energies, and then there's a third one. What are the two energies?
Krishna 有兩種嘅能量，
Raise your hand if
嗰
you
兩
know
種係
one.
咩能量啊？
Raise your hand if you know one. Yes. External. Did you say external or internal? External energy. That's one.
係外在能量啦。
Internal, and you have to raise your
然
hands.
後內在能量啦。
And then the third one, which
第
is
三
different.
種係
Raise your hands. I'm just hearing.
舉
No.
手。
This is school. Marginal. Yeah.
第三種就係
Okay.
邊際能量。
So as marginal Prakriti, the living entity is always under the control of what?
咁作為邊
Not the
際，
modes of material nature again, but he's under the control of what? Those two things that we just spoke about.
咁如果我哋喺物質自然嘅能量嚟講咧，咁我哋個體生物咧係受乜嘢嘅能量影響咧？
Time is next.
我哋遲啲至講時間。
He's always under the control of one of these two things, inferior
哦，
or exterior energy of Krishna. The superior energy is Krishna's higher energy, and the external energy is this material world. Right? And so we're under the control of the material nature now because we've invited ourselves by our actions into this arena to be controlled by material nature.
咁其實我哋就係受呢個低等能量嘅影響啊，因為我哋自己自願嚟到呢個物質世界咧，係甘願受呢個物質能量影響㗎。咁 Krishna 嘅內在能量咧就係神聖嘅能量嚟嘅。
Okay, time for everybody to stand up and raise your hands high in the sky in the Haribol position. I'm not joking. Up, up.
哦，咁而家請你哋企起身。
Stand up.
You know,
Take a
go
deep breath.
Haribol.
Wake up. Wake
You know,
up, sleeping
Sampuka.
soul. Jeev Jive go. Jeev Jive go. Goda Chandra Bole. Kota Nija Jayo. Yeah. Deep breath in.
深呼吸。
Big breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Okay. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. Please be seated.
請
Hare Krishna
坐。
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's talk about the material nature again just a little bit more.
咁我哋講一講呢個物質自然啦。
So, material nature itself is constituted by what? I already asked that question once, you should know the answer.
咁物質自然係乜嘢構成㗎？
The three modes of material nature.
咁就係呢個物質自然三個屬性構成嘅。
Material nature is constituted by the three qualities, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance.
就係由呢三種嘅品質構成嘅，就係善良形態啦、激情形態同埋愚昧形態。
So material nature is constituted of what?
咁
Raise
物
your
質
hand.
自然係乜嘢構成？
Raise your hand if you know
舉手，
material
如
nature is
果知道
constituted
嘅話
of.。Raise your
物質自然係乜嘢構成嘅？
You have it.
三種形態咯，善能、激情、愚昧咯。
The goodness, passion, and ignorance。
Yeah, right. That's perfect. You know, I'm sitting here asking all these questions as if I know everything and I'm the supreme controller and enjoyer of the whole world. It's not true.
咁我而家坐喺度咧，係問你哋好多問題咧，好似我就係呢個絕對控制者咁。咁其實唔係嘅。
I too am a student.
我亦都係一個學生嚟嘅啫。
And I'm going through this just to help me understand that I am really not the controller of this program. I'm not the enjoyer of this program. I'm not anything actually.
我喺度咧就係再次即係講述呢啲咧，只係讓我自己知道我唔係一個自主控制者，我唔係一個係啦。
So now we have the constitution of the material energy being controlled by the modes in nature. Right?
咁所以我哋而家知道咧，呢個物質自然嘅能量咧，就係被呢三種屬性所控制。
So what is above the modes of material nature? What is above this material nature? What is above these three modes of material nature?
咁乜嘢係超越呢個物質嘅自然嘅能量，或者乜嘢係超越呢個物質自然三屬性呢？
Mataji, you had it right before. No, behind you. Mataji, behind. Remember you said something, I said that comes later?
Yeah, the time.
Time, yeah. Yeah, there we
係啦，
go.
咁而家就係時間
So
啦。
above the modes of material nature, there is eternal time.
咁就係喺物質自然之上咧，就係呢個永恆嘅時間。
And then there's something later that's called karma.
咁跟住落嚟咧，就係另外一個元素，就係業報。
I learned from Rtadhvaja Maharaj, who has a PhD in Sanskrit, that karma comes from a root word, the base root word that means, which is kriyate, which means to do or to act.
咁我從 Rtadhvaja Maharaj 咧，佢係一個梵文老師嚟嘅，咁就知道咧呢個 karma 呢個字咧就係源於咧就係話你做一啲嘢，然後就有一啲嘅反應。
So my question is, what would you say, what aspects of Krishna's energies or Krishna's energies creates karma? How is karma created by these different things that we discussed today?
咁Krishna 咧係點樣從呢種三屬性裏邊咧係引發出我哋嘅嗰啲業報咧？
If I was sitting in the audience and somebody asked this question, I'd have to strain my brain to figure out what it is.
咁我有一次講課，有學生提出問題啊，咁我咧要搞盡腦汁嚟去答嗰條問題。
So what did we just discuss? We discussed the material nature, and it's constituted by what? The three qualities? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. And above these three modes there is time. So now, how would material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, combined with time, create karma?
咁就係重複翻頭先一連串所講嘅問題啦。咁我哋物質自然就係被三種屬性控制啦。咁而三種屬性咧，而家就係講到話係被永恆嘅時間所控制嘅。咁就係點樣去運作咧？時間呢個永恆嘅時間點樣同物質三種屬性係，然後去構成我哋嘅業報咧？
It's just a brief sentence in here. It's just a little brief sentence. Above these modes there is eternal time, and by a combination of these modes of nature, under the control and purview of time, vision of time, these activities which are called karma.
咁就係呢個物質自然三屬性所引發出嚟，即係由呢個善良、激情、愚昧引發出嚟嘅，再配合時間呢個元素咧，就係我哋得到嘅業報嘅反應。
Because time is eternal,
因為時間係永恆。
the activities of karma have been going on eternally.
咁而我
Although they aren't in themselves, each aspect of karma, each activity we perform isn't eternal, but the aspect of engaging in activities which cause reactions is eternal. Because it never goes away.
咁因為時間係永恆，而我哋任何活動所產生嗰個結果咧，亦都係不斷咁樣去持續發展落去，亦都係唔會停止嘅，都係永恆嘅。
So these activities, they've been there. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Are you leaving? No? Okay. So these activities are being carried out since time immemorial. Our actions, our activities, which we call our karma, have been going on since time immemorial.
咁我哋呢啲嘅行為啦，我哋嘅作為啦，亦都係喺即係好耐以前咧，已經不斷咁樣去進行嘅，即係永遠都唔會停止嘅。
And as these activities are going on, what happens to us? What is the nature of karma? It has two aspects. It's either
Good,
sukha or it's dukkha.
happy,
Huh?
happy or
Happiness
sad.
and distress. And the problem is we're looking for sukha, but we only get dukkha. We're looking for happiness here, but this place doesn't have that facility. And so no matter what, even if we experience some type of temporary pleasure, it turns into dukkha, unhappiness. Is that too long?
I try to
Okay,
summarize. 咁我哋嘅行為啦，我哋嘅活動啦，就係不斷咁樣進行嘅。自從好耐，即係無可追溯嘅年代。咁每一個行動咧，都會誘發兩個元素出嚟嘅，兩個結果出嚟嘅。一個就係快樂啦，一個就係悲傷啦。咁我哋都係尋求快樂嘅。咁但係喺呢個物質世界咧，係唔會有快樂嘅，只係有悲傷嘅啫。咁所以咧就係咁樣，呢個業報咧就係不斷咁樣去伸延落去。
So our actions have been going on in our lifetime since time immemorial. It means that from the time we entered into this material world, which is time immemorial, we have no date, we have no exact understanding of that. But we've been enjoying or suffering the reactions to these things. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai.
咁我哋所有嘅行為啦，我哋嘅所有嘅作為咧，都係無所追溯嘅年代咧，已經係不斷咁樣進行緊㗎啦。咁我哋係唔知佢幾時開始嘅，冇一個任何嘅記載或者方法，我哋係知道呢啲行為幾時開始。
Yeah, okay. But it slides. I don't know. It's going that way. I don't know why. We need a screwdriver or one of those octagon drivers. Okay, we'll try. I'll just move over. So now Prabhupada gives us an example. He gives us an example of how we enjoy and how we suffer in this world. And I may take the privilege to say that he's giving an example of his own life. I can't say 100% sure, but he has said things like this in the past about his own life.
咁聖爸爸就舉咗啲例子，係去解釋呢個快樂同埋悲傷嘅。咁我嘅理解咧就話，其實聖爸爸咧就係俾佢自己嘅一生嘅經歷作為嘅例子嘅。但係呢個唔係絕對啱，未必一定啱嘅，只係我嘅見解。
He says, for instance, suppose I am a businessman and have worked very hard with intelligence.
咁例如我啦，我係一個商人啦，我就係用我哋嘅智慧咧，係好努力咁樣去工作。
And by doing so, I have amassed a great bank balance.
咁因為咁咧，我就曾經咧賺取過好多嘅金錢。
Then I am what?
Happy.
No, there's only two things, sukha, dukkha. So what am I? Then I am happy.
就好快樂啦。
But then, say I have lost all my money in business, then I am the sufferer.
咁跟住咧，我又突然間咧係破產啦，冇晒所有嘅錢啦。咁於是我就喺咩狀態啊？
Similarly, not only it's okay.
Yeah.
Similarly, not only in the business field, but in every field of life, we enjoy the results of our work. or we suffer the results.
咁唔單止喺生意上啦，或者工作上啦，其實喺我哋生活裏邊各個方面咧，我哋都係咧一係咧就係開心啦，即係承受一啲好嘅結果啦，或者我哋係因為失敗而承受好多痛苦。
And this is what's commonly known now as karma.
咁所以咧呢個就係我哋稱為業報啦。
Interesting enough that when we attain something that we think we're the enjoyer or is pleasurable, we think we've created that.
咁有一樣嘢好有趣嘅咧，就係話，當我哋係享受一啲嘢嘅時候咧，即係成功嘅時候咧，好開心嘅時候咧，我哋覺得係自己創造出嚟嘅，自己創造呢個處境出嚟嘅。
But when we lose something or are unhappy by something, then we think something else may have caused that rather than myself. It's not me.
咁但係相反嚟講咧，當我受苦嘅時候，或者我失敗嘅時候咧，我就會諗咧唔知咩原因令到我失敗嘅咧？我哋唔會諗係自己嘅原因嘅，只係會諗外在嘅原因令到你去失敗或者受苦嘅。
We're very, very eager to take credit for that which comes out right, but very, very timid or unwilling to accept that it's our doings that when something comes out unfortunate.
咁我哋咧係毫不猶豫咁咧，當有好嘅嘢發生嘅時候咧，我哋就會邀功啊，即係話係我自己嘅成果，我做出嚟嘅。但係當我哋失敗啊、受苦啊嘅時候咧，我哋咧就會好懦弱啊，好唔情願地咧係諗呢個係自己嘅問題嘅。
Just like when we something missing? Oh, okay.
Just feeling very hot.
Sorry? Oh, need the AC? Okay, whatever. Just like when we use the word karma in a modern sense of the term, if something good, say somebody wins the lottery, oh man, good karma. We never say that. We say, oh, you're a lucky guy.
咁正如好似舉個例子咧，如果有人贏咗彩票啊，或者中咗六合彩咧，咁你唔會話你有好嘅果報喎，咁你只會話你好好彩喎咁。
But if we buy a car, which I've heard about recently, that you can push a button in your apartment and it will drive from the parking lot, come into the front of your apartment, open the door, you can get in and it will drive you to your work.
咁而家有啲車咧係自動嘅，即係遙控嘅嚇。咁咧你一撳掣咧，嗰架車就會喺車房自己走嚟你身邊，咁開埋道門咧，你就上車就得㗎啦。
But say, for example, that perfect car with perfect intelligence that never does anything imperfect is bumped into a car that doesn't have that facility and crashes and smashes your car to complete smithereens, they say in America, to bits, to little pieces. Are you happy or are you sad?
咁但係如果呢架車咧係即係行咧，但係突然間咧係撞咗車咧，然後當然啦。喺咁嘅情況之下，你會點呢？你會開心定唔開心？
I've given this example. This is a story. I used to work in Gurukul 3 months in the fall, 3 months in the winter in Mayapur. I just worked in the ashram telling the boys what to do, what not to do. But one time I was asked to be the Bhagavad Gita verse memorizing teacher.
咁我就喺 Gurukul 教嘅，咁天冷教3個月，天熱教3個月。咁然後有一次咧，我就問啲學生，佢要背一啲博家梵歌嘅詩節。
So the nice verse, Matras Prasas Sukuntaya Sitasna Sukadukada Agamapa Nicha Tam Statikshas Svabharata, right? Osana Kunti, the non-permanent of happiness and distress, and their disappearance and due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, which we can't trust, O sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So this is the verse I was teaching the boys.
Which is the chapter and the verse?
2:13. 2:13. Excuse me, 2:14.
咁 Maharaj 咧就教緊呢一個詩節，第2章第14個詩節就係講有關快樂同埋悲傷嘅。係啦，佢話昆蒂嘅兒子啊，正如冬季和夏季咧輪流到來，短暫嘅痛苦同埋快樂咧時來時去。巴爾亞特嘅後裔啊，他們來自感官嘅感覺，人必須學習忍受這一切，不受干擾。
Basically, the school just wanted the boys to memorize so many verses. My policy was they learn one verse, they know what it means in their life, they know what it means to explain it for somebody else's life so that they can utilize the verse for a proper purpose rather than just rote memorization. Ba, 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 ba.
咁學校嘅規定咧，只係咧係期望嗰啲學生咧就係背誦咗啲詩就得㗎啦，唔使即係深刻咁樣去認識嘅。但係我嘅教佢哋嘅方法咧就係話，要佢哋念咗個詩節啦，然後就知道個意思，然後咧就能夠係將呢啲詩節咧係教人哋，或者咧自己係點樣咧係喺生活上面應用到呢啲詩節嘅要點出嚟。
I think we were scheduled for 90 verses, and I think we finished 10 or 15 in the semester.
咁我記得咧，好似我指定要教90個詩節嘅啦，但係咧我喺我呢個課裏邊咧，我只係教到10至到15詩節啫。
But they learn how to use them, which I will explain now by this story.
咁但係咧，佢哋係懂得咧係喺生活上面運用呢啲詩節嘅。咁我而家就係講呢個故事俾你哋聽。
I think Jai Sri heard this story because she's going like this. No? Okay, good. So we were learning this verse. So I told them, I had 13 boys in the basketball court outside, and I said, each one of you has to tell me one time that you had to tolerate something in this world.
咁我就教緊13個男孩子啦，咁佢哋就對住呢個籃球場嘅，咁我就叫佢哋要舉出一個例子，佢哋喺一生裏邊咧係要忍受過啲乜嘢。
So they all said, well, one time somebody stole my bike, my dad took away my car, my this, that. So many things that they had, what's the word? Not happiness, but distress. They all expressed something that was distressful in their life for this verse.
咁就住呢節詩咧，佢哋所舉嘅即係點樣要忍受嘅例子咧，就係話有一次咧，有人偷咗我單車啊，有一次我爸爸咧就又係攞咗我車去用啊咁樣，所以佢哋所舉所有嘅例咧，都係唔開心嘅。
So I said, gentlemen, you forgot something.
咁我就同佢哋講啦，嘿，你哋忘記咗一點喎，忘記
And
咗
they
一啲嘢
said,
喎。
what, Maharaj? And I said, my name's not what Maharaj, my name's Rtadhvaja Maharaj.
咁佢哋就問啦，乜嘢啊 Maharaj？ 咁 Maharaj 就答：我個名我唔係叫做 What Maharaj， 我係叫做聰明的 Maharaj。
Stories and jokes keep the audience alive.
咁有陣時講笑啊、幽默一啲咧，係等啲觀眾咧係即係精神爽利啊。
Well, tell us. I said, no, that's not how it works here.
咁學生就問啦，咁講俾我哋聽啊，乜嘢係
You
你
have
嘅問題？
to think. This is the purpose of this class. Think.
咁 Maharaj 又唔講個答案，佢就話你自己要諗，就係
So
要
they were
諗。
thinking and thinking and thinking. And it was like about 3 minutes before break time for their 10-15-minute break.
咁佢哋就喺度猛喺度諗啦，但係咧係將近小息前嗰3分鐘，佢哋都未諗到出嚟。
So about 1 minute before the break, I said, gentlemen, this isn't going to end until you tell me what you're missing.
咁喺小息之前1分鐘咧 ，Maharaj 就話咧，佢話如果你答唔到呢條問題咧，你哋就唔會放小息嘅。
So that's like putting pressure on them. It's just like the thing they live for is the break. And to put the pressure that they're not going to get that makes them unable to even think of what they're supposed to think of, besides missing the break.
咁所以喺而家咧，佢哋最渴望嘅咧就係落堂啊嘛。 但係我所俾佢嘅條件咧，就係話令到佢哋咧係最渴望嘅嘢咧，係即係做唔到嘅話咧，係唔會得到嘅。所以咧係俾佢哋好大壓力。咁喺咁大壓力情況之下咧，佢哋更加諗唔到需要嘅答案。
Have any of you been in a situation like that before, where the time has run out and you're still not ready?
有冇試過呢啲情況咧？即係時間已經差唔多到啦，已經即係個死線已經到啦，但係咧你嘅解決方法啊或者答案都未出嚟。
So break bell went ding 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 ding. I said, "Gentlemen, not yet."
咁落堂鐘就響啦，但係Maharaj話：唔關你哋事嘅呢個落堂鐘。
I used to always call the boys, the young men, gentlemen. That was I used to every time, gentlemen.
咁我一般咧都稱呼佢哋做紳士嘅，我會咁樣稱呼佢哋嘅。
And there's a reason for that also.
咁其實我有原因嘅，咁樣稱呼佢哋。
Everything has a reason. We have to know why. We know how, we know what, but we need to know why we do things.
咁每樣嘢，我哋都應該有個原因嘅。咁所以我哋應該清楚個原因係乜嘢。
So why? Because I want them, Prabhupada explained to us, all the boys and girls should become ladies and gentlemen. If they can't become pure devotees, they should at least become ladies and gentlemen. So I'd always call them gentlemen, so that they would be reminded that if they can't make the full course, at least be kind, compassionate, don't lose your humanity, just be a good person.
咁聖爸爸成日都講，我哋Krishna 知覺，你未做奉獻者之前咧，你首先起碼做一個紳士淑女。咁呢個咧就係要佢哋時刻記住咧，佢係要做一個好嘅人，即係做一個得體嘅。
So after about 5 minutes after the break, one of the boys, Muki, who now is Mukunda something, he's initiated by Jayapataka.
咁喺打完呢個落堂鐘響咗之後5分鐘咧，有一個叫做 Mukti 嘅學生咧就舉手啦。
He's the cousin brother of Bali and Kish, who are part of the Mayapuris. They're all part of this. They're all part of the Rico family that has about 70 members in the Alachua County in that family.
咁佢係嚟自一個即係有好多奉獻者嘅家庭嘅。
He raised it. Mars, I figured it out. We didn't say any time we had to tolerate being happy.
佢話Maharaj，我諗到啦，我哋咧係從來都冇人同我哋講過話，我哋要忍受快樂。
And I said, you finally got it. And all the boys were like, I said, okay, 20 minutes extra break. Because I have a soft heart.
咁所以咧，咁佢哋好開心啦，終於答到呢個問題啦。咁Maharaj咧就俾多5分鐘佢哋，俾20分鐘佢哋去小息。
So the nature of happiness and distress is being described here. It has an appearance and it has a disappearance.
咁呢度講咧就係話快樂同埋悲傷嘅本質咧就係佢時來時去嘅。
And it's like the winter and summer seasons. What can we do if it's cold outside? We have to tolerate. We can bundle up. Or if it's hot outside, what can we do? We have to tolerate. Certain things we just have to tolerate.
咁正如好似四季一樣啦，咁有夏季有冬季啦。咁冬季嘅時候咧，我哋能夠做到咩咧？我哋只能夠忍受啦。正如夏季一樣啦，夏季好熱嘅時候，我哋亦都唔做到啲乜嘢嘅，我哋亦都只有忍受。
And if we can just understand that these things actually have absolutely nothing to do with me as a soul, they're just something that my body is experiencing due to the senses. The senses they're due to sense perception. I like this, I don't like that, I like this, I don't like that, and it's all based on this body.
咁所以我哋要知道咧，所有呢啲冷熱啊，或者係悲傷成敗啊，呢啲咧都同我哋嘅靈魂冇關嘅。呢啲全部都係我哋個物質軀體嘅感官所去即係感受嘅啫，同我哋嘅靈魂係冇關係嘅。
What is the result of tolerance?
咁所以我哋忍受嘅結果係咩咧？
Next verse 15. The person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for what?
咁第15個獅子咧就講啦，佢話最優秀嘅人啊，尊啊，不受苦樂打擾而始終保持穩定嘅人會點樣呢？
You're certainly eligible for what?
你哋終於係會有咩資格咧？
Raise
你有
your
資
hand.
格乜嘢咧？
Raise your hands.
舉手啊！如果你知道。
The person who is not disturbed in happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for.
係啦，不受苦樂打擾而始終保持穩定嘅人咧，佢哋肯定乜嘢啊？有資格乜嘢啊？得到。舉手，舉手。
Janaki, you have it. Liberation, Krishna.
就係解脫
We
啦。
become eligible because we don't fall victim to the senses. This is due to sense perception. We don't become victimized by our senses. We understand that they are a source of misery. Even if it gives us happiness, it's a source of misery.
因為我哋知道呢個只係軀體感官嘅反應嘅，佢哋只係一啲痛苦嘅呢個結果嚟嘅啫，所以我哋係唔會受佢打擾，所以我哋就咁樣嘅話，我哋得到解脫，得到 Krishna。
I quoted this verse from the 5th chapter 2 Sundays ago. Yehi sangsparshaja boga dukkha yonana evate. If you know the verse, sing it. Ajyantavan tukunteya nate shubhamate buddha. And the text 22 chapter 5. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due. Okay, I'll just read the whole thing, then you can read the whole thing. Which are due to contact with the material senses. O Sanakunti, such sense pleasures have a beginning and an end, so the wise man does not delight in them.
物質感官同埋感官對象接觸而產生嘅快樂係痛苦嘅根源嘅。明智嘅人呢，唔覺得呢種有始有終嘅快樂係快樂，佢哋迴避呢一種痛苦嘅根源。
If I were to tell you it's Ekadasi, so we can't have regular pizza, we can have Dwadasi breakfast pizza. And if I were to tell you that that's a source of misery, what would you tell me?
咁如果我同你講今日係Ekadasi啦，咁我哋就唔可以食一般嘅Ekadasi嘅 pizza， 只能夠食即係特別嘅 pizza。咁咧對我嚟講咧係好唔開心嘅。咁如果我咁講咧，你會點諗我咧？
That may not be the best example because it's most likely offered, so it's good to be attached to Krishna in the form of prasadam.
咁呢個例子好似唔係太好咁樣，所以其實我哋最好咧就係依附 Krishna 嘅 prasad、Krishna 嘅際遇。
Several times Prabhupada would say, don't be shy when it comes to business and prasadam.
咁聖爸爸咧成日都講，佢話咧，當你面對你嘅生意同埋面對際遇嘅時候咧，你唔使怕醜嘅。
When it comes to business, we have to be determined but not offensive. And when it comes to prasadam, we just have to enjoy.
佢話當你做生意嘅時候咧，你係要好決斷 determined 嚇。哦，但係亦都唔好冒犯人哋。咁但係如果你面對 prasadam 嘅時候咧，你就享受就得㗎啦。
The reason why engaging our senses in the objects of sense gratification is a source of misery is because the material pleasures are due to contact with the material senses. The senses are temporary because the body is temporary. So anyone who's interested in spiritual life has no interest in anything which is temporary.
咁個原因咧就係話，我哋所有物質嘅感官咧，都係源於呢個物質嘅源頭。咁所以呢啲物質，所有呢啲物質嘅東西咧，都係短暫嘅。咁如果一個 靈性嘅人咧，佢係對一啲短暫嘅物質嘅事物咧係唔感興趣嘅。
It's stated in Prabhupada's comment purport here at the end, the last paragraph, Gayatri. Therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. I'm going to try to get a little closer. Let me figure this out.
Okay. 把人始終束縛喺物質生存中嘅原因呢，就係感官享樂。因此咧，真正嘅瑜伽師或者有學問嘅超然主義者咧，係唔會被感官享樂所吸引嘅。嗰啲越熱衷於物質快樂嘅人咧，就越深入咁陷入呢個物質存在嘅痛苦之中。
We see this idea of addiction very prominent in the world.
咁我哋睇到咧呢一種咁嘅狀態咧，其實喺即係世界各地咧都係佔咗主導嘅。
In Hong Kong, please enlighten me. Do they have AA, Alcoholics Anonymous here?
Yes.
香港有冇啲 AA？
Yes,
即係
they do.
They have NA, Narcotics Anonymous?
Yes, they
Yeah.
do. They
Okay.
do.
中文係乜嘢？
AA 即係 Alcoholic Anonymous，即係你醉酒鬼咧，你想停咧，
即係戒酒。OK， 戒酒嘅組織。
Safe travels? Safe travels?
都有，即係戒毒品嘅
組織。
When you go to AA or NA, you stand up and you say, "Hello, my name is Maharaj, and I'm an alcoholic." Hello, my name is Maharaj, and I'm an addict.
咁如果你去到呢啲機構咧，你就同佢講，你話我叫做乜嘢啦？我個名，然後我係 Maharaj， 我係一個酒鬼啊，或者咧你講我係一個酒鬼或者毒品吸毒者。
So in the Hare Krishna movement, we have SGA.
咁但係喺我哋 Hare Krishna 呢個運動裏邊咧，我哋有 SGA。
SGA.
SGA.
What do you think that stands for?
Sense gratification.
Sense Gratifiers Anonymous.
就係叫做 Sense Gratifier Anonymous， 就係感官享樂者。
And we go before Gaurnitai every day. And we say, "Hi." We don't say hi, we say, "Hare Krishna. My name is Rtadhvaja Swami, and I am an addict."
咁如果你早上去到廟見到舒舒高利泰，咁你講 Hare Krishna， 我係 Maharaj， 我係吸酒鬼，唔係吸毒者。
唔係，我係一個上癮者，上癮。
OK， 我係癮君子啊。
AA has 12 steps. We have 16 rounds. We have 4 regular principles. So that's 8. We can come up with 4 more. What would 4 more be? We can come up with something. But we have our steps.
但我哋上癮嘅咧就係我哋念16圈啦，遵守4個規範守則啦，仲有好多其他嘅步驟嘅。
And if we can just own up honestly to that which is deterring us for our desired result, which is Krishna Prema, if we can just ascertain those things and express to Krishna our difficulty in controlling them.
咁如果我哋能夠咧係好肯定咁咧係做我哋需要遵守嘅規範守則，去得到 Krishna。
Krishna is actually a person.
咁 Krishna 實際上咧係一個人物嚟嘅。
Krishna is personally present here in the form of Shri Shri Gaurnitai.
Krishna 咧係親自以舒舒高利泰嘅形象咧係臨在嘅。
They're just not statues.
佢哋唔係一啲雕像嚟嘅，唔係雕塑嚟嘅。
They're actually Sri Sri Gauranitai themselves.
佢哋實際上係主Gauranitai 本人。
Inasmuch as the holy name is non-different than Krishna himself.
正如聖名一樣啦，聖名同主 Krishna 咧，亦都係完全冇分別嘅。
And so we have so many opportunities to take shelter of Krishna directly.
我
Through
哋
the
係
form of the deity, through the form of the holy name, through the form of prasadam, through the name. All these things are gifts that have been given to us.
我哋係完全有機會咧，係透過 Krishna 嘅聖名啦，透過佢哋嘅形象啦，透過佢哋際遇啦，所有其他嘅東西咧，係感受到 Krishna 親身臨在嘅。
And we can pray to Krishna for protection and pray to Krishna for guidance.
咁我哋可以向 Krishna 祈禱啦，祈求佢嘅保護，同埋祈求佢嘅指引。
To help us, because if we take shelter of Krishna, we can cross over any obstacle that comes in our way.
咁只要我哋向 Krishna 祈求咧，我哋就會克服到所有我哋生活中所面對嘅障礙。
Machita sabradurgani mat prashada tadishasi. That one who takes shelter of me can cross over all the material objects in this world.
咁 Krishna 喺博家梵歌講，佢話任何咧託庇於我嘅人咧，係可以咧係超越所有佢喺生活中面對嘅
If we
障礙。
simply become conscious of Krishna, we can pass over all the obstacles of
只要
material.
我哋咧時刻咁樣咧係意識到 Krishna 咧，我哋就可以咧係超越所有嘅障礙。
Ata chet tvam ahankaram nasho shashi vinakshasi. But if due to our false ego we don't hear, then we won't be able to cross over the obstacles of conditioned life because we have to hear and we'll end up being lost.
Which chapter?
18, text 58.
咁喺18章58詩節 ，Krishna 講：你如果意識到我，就會靠我嘅恩典跨越受制約嘅生存中所具有嘅一切障礙。但係如果你唔懷住呢種意識去行事呢，而憑假我去做事，不聽從我，咁你必遭劫難。
The idea is that if we can just come to full Krishna consciousness, we won't be affected by undue anxieties of our existence.
咁如果我哋係全神貫注於 Krishna 咧，我哋就唔需要受一啲不必要嘅焦慮咧所迷惑。
In the execution of our duties in our material existence, we won't feel the pressure of what is it? Our terminality, our what's the terminology?
終止to finish or stop。
Yeah, the fact that we're not going to be here very long.
哦，
I lost the word.
咁如果我哋係時刻咁都意識到 Krishna 嘅話咧，我哋就唔會面對咁多嘅焦慮，而咧我哋亦都唔會喺呢個物質存在裏邊咧係耽誤得好耐嘅啫。
The idea is that if we can just simply act for Krishna in Krishna consciousness, we have the opportunity to become Krishna's friends. Just like we're all friends here, we can actually become the friends of Krishna.
咁只要我哋時刻意識到 Krishna 嘅存在，我哋就可以成為 Krishna 嘅朋友。正如好似我哋而家一樣咧，聚埋一齊都係朋友一樣。
And friendship has a certain characteristic that we always take care of our friends.
咁友誼嘅特徵咧，就係話我哋成日都會照顧或者幫助我哋嘅朋友嘅。
All we have to do, there's one verse, 3rd chapter of Prabhupada said, oh, actually second chapter, 55, 59, where he says that all we have to, no, I don't have to look, all you have to do is be engaged in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day.
咁有一詩節咧， Krishna 就講啦，你只需要做嘅事情咧，就係話你一日24小時咧都係意識到我。
In the Hare Krishna movement, we set lofty goals.
咁 Krishna
Set high
運動，
goals.
咁 Krishna 意識運動咧就係呢個最至高無上嘅目標。
24 hours a day, Krishna conscious.
呢個就係最高嘅目標，就係24小時咧都係 Krishna 知覺嘅。
But Prabhupada explains many times in this Gita and the commentaries, he said one should mold their life in such a way that they don't forget Krishna.
咁聖爸爸咧就喺博家梵歌或者喺其他地方都講咧，佢話我哋要將我哋嘅生活咧設計到咧係讓我哋咧一日24小時咧都可以意識到 Krishna 嘅。
The nature of the material world is that it is arranged in such a way that it, in a sense, forces us to forget Krishna.
咁而呢個物質存在嘅環境咧，就係設計到咧係讓我哋咧一日24小時咧都忘記 Krishna。
I say in a sense because we've chosen to be here. And we're being forced by the modes of material nature, by the modes of material nature to act in certain ways because we've chosen to be there.
咁我嘅意思咧就係話，其實咧係我哋選擇嘅，我哋選擇係嚟呢度係被物質自然所控制嘅，呢個係我哋自己嘅選擇。
If we choose something, we can't blame something else.
如果我哋自己選擇嘅嘢咧，我哋唔可以責怪人哋嘅，或者唔可以責怪其他嘅事情。
Oh, chapter 5. If we can do that, we won't be carried away by our false. If we can do that, we won't be carried away by our false ego.
咁如果我哋能夠咁樣做咧，一日24小時意識到 Krishna 咧，我哋就唔會俾我哋嘅假我咧係拖走啊。
When you think about it, it'd be so. I think the word is now awesome. To not be under the control of the modes of material nature. Just think of the freedom that we have, the opportunity to achieve.
咁我哋想像一下，同埋想像一下嗰種自由啊！如果我哋唔受物質自然三屬性所控制嘅話，想像一下。
There's a purport in the second chapter where Krishna's. I know that verse. It's like a 4-sentence verse. Right in the beginning of chapter 2. When Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, you know that verse. Karpanya dosha sabhavava prachitam tram dharmam samudacheta yacheya shandishitum buhu tame sheshate ham sadi mam tvam papanam. Now I'm confused and I surrender unto you. Please help me.
咁阿朱娜咧就話：我而家咧覺得好困惑啊，所以咧我只能夠臣服於你，請你指導我。
Interesting enough, Arjuna's saying that I have lost my understanding of being a Kshatriya, not only my understanding of being part and parcel of you, but I've lost my understanding of what it means to be a Kshatriya, and I've lost all composure. This is not the nature of a Kshatriya to be sitting on a chariot with his bowl on the ground crying. It's not the nature.
咁而家嘅 Juna 咧就係將把弓箭咧都掉咗落地啦，然後咧係佢唔單止唔記得咗自己係 Krishna 嘅不可重述嘅部分啊，佢連自己作為剎帝利嘅職責都忘記咗。咁作為剎帝，佢話我而家已經冇晒所有嘅鎮靜啊，我唔知自己而家要做乜啦。咁呢個應該唔係一個剎帝利應有嘅即係態度嘅。
By discussing that verse, Machata Sabadurgani Mat Prasada Tarishasi, if we can just become conscious of Krishna, we can overcome the obstacles. Reminded me of this verse because we were talking about the perplexities of this world, and Prabhupada says, by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone.
咁就係因為講緊而家阿 Juna 嗰個困惑咧，就令我想到咧，聖爸爸咧就講，佢話呢個物質世界嗰個設計咧，就係要將我哋擺喺一個完全係備受困惑嘅處境裏邊。
In every step there is perplexity.
我哋每行一步咧，都係充滿困惑嘅。
At any moment, anything can happen at any time, any place, and it's just like we don't have a guarantee for 1 second.
咁其實時時刻刻啦，分分秒秒咧，我哋都可以被置於一個咧令到我哋好困擾嘅狀態裏邊。我哋唔知道下一刻會發生啲乜嘢。
Does anybody know the solution to this one?
有冇人知道解決呢個問題嘅方法啊？
What to do if there's perplexity at every step for everyone at every time and every place? What is the solution? There is a solution.
咁對每個人嚟講，每一分、每一秒、每一個時刻都會係有困惑嘅存在嘅。有冇人知道點樣可以解決呢一種狀態？
Therefore, sorry? Say it? Chant Hare Krishna. Well, where do you learn to chant Hare Krishna from?
咁答案就係話我哋念 Hare Krishna 咯。咁但係 Maharashman， 咁我哋去邊度學念呢一個 mantra 咧？
Did it fall out of the sky? Huh?
Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, Lord Chaitanya. Who teaches you?
就係透過主彩壇嘢啦。咁但係邊個教你啊？邊個教你念呢個 mantra？
I'll give you a clue. Tadvidi paripashena paripashena sevaya. Therefore, it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life.
咁所以咧，我哋話喺邊度學到呢啲 mantra 啊？佢唔會喺天跌落嚟噶嘛啲 mantra。咁師父就話俾我哋聽咧，我哋要去接近一位真正嘅靈性導師咯。靈性導師佢係通曉咗呢個知識啦，絕對真理嘅知識啦。咁佢就係可以俾到呢種知識我哋，引導我哋。
All the Vedic literatures advise us to approach a spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life.
咁所有嘅偉大經典嘅詩節咧，都係教導我哋咧去接近一位真正嘅靈性導師咧。咁所有我哋生活裏邊嘅困惑咧，都會得到解決。
Which happen without our desire.
咁如果我哋冇慾望嘅時候，就會點樣咧？又會點咧？
Although we signed up for those.
雖然我哋係有好多慾望。
It happened without our desire. That probably gives the like in the forest. Somehow or the blaze is not set by anyone, but the blaze takes place.
咁但係我哋嘅慾望咧，就係好似森林大火一樣，或者好似森林裏邊嗰啲大火咧，你冇人燃點啊，佢都自然會燃燒嘅森林大火。
Similarly, the world situation.
呢個就好似我哋嘅今日世界裏邊嘅處境一樣。
We have experience of that, right? The world situation, very precarious, isn't it?
咁我哋都知道呢個
Anything can happen at any
或者
time.
世界嘅處境係好危險嘅，時刻任何嘢都可以發生。
The world situation is such that perplexities life automatically appear without wanting such confusion.
咁呢個或者世界嘅困惑咧，個困惑隨時隨地都會出現啊。雖然佢哋係不請自來嘅。
No one wants fire, but it takes place.
冇人想有大火嘅，但係火災就會發生。
And we become perplexed.
咁我哋就好困擾。
So in order to solve the perplexities of life, we have to understand the science of Krishna consciousness, the science of the solution. And that science is given by Guru Parampara.
咁所有呢啲困惑咧，我哋只需要咧係去認識Krishna 嘅科學。我哋呢個透過師徒傳承咧，我哋係認識 Krishna 呢個哲學。
Now, a person with a bona fide spiritual... This is going to be a question. You ready for this one? A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know what?
咁一個人，如果佢係接近咗一位真正嘅靈性導師咧，佢係應該知道啲乜嘢㗎
I'll give you a clue. Krishna says that if you know him, you are considered to be the knower. Yomam evam asanmuno gyanati purushottamam. One who knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood to be the knower of everything, and therefore he engages himself in devotional service. After knowing everything, he engages himself in devotional service.
咁一個人呢，如果係知道我啦，然後呢就會知道晒
It's okay, I'm almost done. We got 2 minutes.
咁就會知道有關我嘅一切啦，然後呢就會將呢種知識呢係傳授俾其他人。
A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not, therefore, remain materially perplexed in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse.
咁一個真正嘅靈性導師呢，佢就知道晒所有有關Krishna 知覺嘅知識。咁呢個人呢，係唔應該讓自己停留喺呢個困惑嘅狀態之中嘅，而係應該呢係去接近一位真正嘅靈性導師，去解決佢嘅困惑嘅問題。
Thank you, Janaki. So these are the purposes of Bhagavad Gita.
咁呢個就係博家梵歌嘅目的啦。
We're in a very, very privileged position.
咁我哋其實咧係處喺一個好特別嘅地位嘅。
To know the path out of this material perplexity.
但係知道咧係點樣解決呢啲困惑嘅方法。
And even though we may be subjected, we can understand the, what would you call it, the nature behind it, or that apparatus which creates this perplexity, which is the material energy.
咁或者我哋有陣時會好主觀，但係起碼我哋都明白到喺呢啲困惑嘅背後個原因係乜嘢。
And by the grace of Guru and Krishna, we have great hope.
咁而我哋而家咧有機會認識 Krishna 咧，我哋係有充滿希望嘅。
Nectar devotion explains that there is no hope, but there is hope against hope. There is hope, even though there is no hope.
咁喺奉愛嘅甘露裏邊咧講過，佢話我哋冇希望嘅，咁但係咧佢又講我哋係冇希望之中咧，我哋係有希望嘅。
So any reflections, takeaways, maybe a possible question, please raise your hands.
有冇問題啊？或者有冇評論？
Some takeaways are good, some reflections
或者
are
有啲
good.
分享，有冇分享？
Okay.
Holy Maharaj, Hong Kong, a few days ago we have a big disaster.
Amazing.
And as you say, we tolerate happiness and distress like winter and summer. But if something happened like this, it's really difficult to tolerate without affecting our mood, our emotions. It's really difficult actually.
It
Whenever
is.
I watch the news, I cry. It's out of my control actually. So what should we do? Just tolerate and
You want to say it in your language? For the microphone?
OK。咁就係舉翻我哋啱啱幾日前發生個大火啦，咁但係頭先我哋Maharaj講到話我哋要忍受啊嘛，咁喺呢個咁嘅情況之下，我哋即係見到一啲咁大嘅災難啦，咁每一次即係睇到呢啲新聞啊或者咩咧，我都會係就控制唔到自己嘅情緒啦，我都會喊啦咁所以我哋係應該點樣去面對呢啲嘅即係發生嘅事情
What we do, it's not that there's no lamentation, it's not that there's no sorrow, it's not that there's no, I guess I don't know whether words unhappiness or distress or things like that in the devotee's life. They're there.
咁作為奉獻者咧，我哋面對呢啲咁大嘅即係事情發生咧，我哋唔係話唔可以有悲傷啊、難過啊，或者係唔開心嘅。
I always give the example. Arjuna had just heard the whole Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, and he understood that he's not the body, he's not this, he's not that. But when his son was unfairly killed in the battle of Kurukshetra, he was distraught. He was
咁我
unhappy.
哋引翻Arjuna 喺博家梵歌，佢打呢場 Kurukshetra 呢場仗咧，咁雖然佢係後來佢已經深知道自己唔係呢個軀體啊，自己係 Krishna 嘅從屬啊，咁所有呢啲嘅哲學上面知識，但係當佢嘅兒子咧係被殺嘅時候咧，佢都係控制唔到佢嗰種即係悲憤之情嘅。
So we may momentarily have like a moment of, I don't want to say delusion, but just a moment of the shock that these things kind of bring upon us. But we don't forget Krishna. It doesn't mean we don't lament, we don't do this, we don't have tears. It doesn't mean that we don't have any more emotions. We're not Mayavadis.
咁所以當呢啲事情重大嘅事情發生嘅時候咧，我哋唔係話唔可以有悲傷啊，或者係激動啊，或者係憤怒啊咁樣，但係我哋係唔可以忘記 Krishna， 唔可以忘記 Krishna 最重要一點。
There's this series of verses in the 6th chapter where Krishna explains samadhi or trance. And one of the aspects is never shaken even in the midst of greatest difficulties.
咁喺第6章咧 ，Krishna 講samadhi 嘅狀態就係話喺任何情況之下咧，我哋都唔可以受呢個干擾啊。
This indeed is actual freedom from miseries arising from material contact.
咁呢個正正就係咧解決我哋喺物質環境裏邊所帶嚟嘅好大嘅情緒嘅困擾。
And the idea Prabhupada is explaining here that we become, the word callous may be used, or the idea of incidental occurrences, just some types of incidental occurrences like the flood or a fire or this or that.
咁呢個情況就係講到有啲突發嘅事情啦，即係突然間發生嘅事情啦，好似話水浸啊，或者係我哋而家嘅大火啊，呢啲咁事情發生。
Prabhupada gives an example such as accidents, disease, scarcity, or even death of the most dear relative.
就係亦都係話，譬如我哋又突然間有至親嘅人去世啊，咁樣咯，即係面對呢啲突發嘅災難嘅時候。
We always remain alert to execute our duties in Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga, and we are not deviated from that duty.
咁我哋都要咧好即係警惕自己咧，唔好從我哋去履行我哋作為Krishna 知覺嗰個收集嘅職責。
I mean, unless your consciousness is there, engaged with the cowherd boys running through Vrindavan and within your heart, and you don't see anything that's going on in the material world, these things will be there.
咁除非你咧腦海裏邊成日都充滿咧 Vrindavan 嗰啲牧牛童嗰啲消回時光嘅情景，咁你喺咁嘅環境之下咧，你就能夠做到呢一個嘅標準。
Although that's a heavy incident, Jayashree, very, very heavy. I mean, when I saw that thing just fly up that fast and everything consumed within minutes, it was just like, it's like an earthquake opened up and the whole place fell in and everybody was buried. It was just so fast.
咁呢個即係的確係一個好震撼嘅情景發生喺即係喺好短時間之內咧，所有嘅嘢咧都好似即係被吞噬啊咁樣。
And not to minimize the severity of that, in the sense that it's something that happened, which we can also remain fixed in Krishna consciousness. Just like sometimes we may feel hungry, but we still remember Krishna.
咁就係呢啲情景咧，突然間係好短時間之內咧，係佢好快咁樣出現嘅時候咧，即係我哋係會受少少干擾啊，好短暫嘅干擾，但係好快咧，我哋就要即係 好醒覺到 Krishna 知覺。
Hunger,
正如好似你好肚餓嘅時候咧，
Yeah, like-
你都唔會忘記 Krishna 嘅。
hunger is a feeling, right?
肚餓都係一種感覺。
The distress of that people are experiencing is a feeling.
咁我哋感受到人哋受苦嘅嗰種痛苦咧，亦都係一種感覺。
But the solution is always the same.
但係個結論都係一樣嘅啫。
The goal, I mean, in one sense, we want to be dancing with Krishna and the cowherd boys in Vrindavan. That's the next level. But we really just want to be engaged in Krishna consciousness and be able to understand the nature of this material world and how we can actually have the opportunity to not have to experience this any more ever again if we just become a little serious in our practice.
咁我哋就係利用呢啲機會咧嚟去即係訓練啊！即係我哋有幾 Krishna 知覺，我哋成日都會，當然我哋成日記住 Krishna 喺 Vrindavan 同牧牛童即係開心啊、遊戲啊或者跳舞啊咁樣。咁但係與此同時咧，我哋喺呢個物質存在裏邊所面對所有嘅環境嘅時候咧，我係都係唔會被佢哋咧係分心，即係將我哋偏離咗出去對 Krishna 嗰個意識嘅。
My understanding from hearing from firemen in these situations, they don't usually die from the flames, they die from the smoke, and it's very much quicker than the flames. We just think, oh my God, my whole arm is burning, and I'm aware of it. And that's possible, but the main thing is asphyxiation.
咁以我即係聽到消防員俾出嚟嘅資訊咧，其實好多人喺大火嘅時候咧，佢哋係因為嗰啲煙啊，而係即係呼吸唔到而死嘅，而唔係話俾嗰啲火啊燒親啊燒死嘅。
Just like in Texas, when I was just there in Texas, there was a rainstorm of over 12 or 20 inches of rain within several hours, and this river flooded, and it just took out a whole kids camp with all the kids in it down the river. You can't imagine these children in that type of situation and just being a stone. You're not the body. You can't be that way. And if you are, you need a therapist.
咁正如我喺Texas 啦，喺德薩斯州咧，都面對過一次嘅大水啊，即係水浸啊。咁有一組嘅學生啊，完全佢哋喺度露營緊咧，完全被沖走啊。咁所以聽到呢個消息嘅時候，你唔可以即係鐵石心腸咁話，我哋唔係呢個軀體啊，我哋係靈魂啊咁樣嘅，呢個冇可能嘅。
So I could not hear about the flames and the water. Could not hear properly.
There was a flood, and there was like 10, 20 inches of water within like an hour or something like that, and the river flooded a children's camp that was full of children, and a great majority of a certain percentage of them drowned. Some of them were rescued. You don't feel any empathy or sympathy or anything in the heart. You'd have to be a stone.
咁嗰次嘅大水咧，就係1個小時內咧係落咗10至20寸雨嘅，咁即係好多好急嘅時間。咁有一個即係露營啦，有一個學生嘅露營咧，係好大班學生係被沖走嘅。咁有一部分就當然係被浸死啦。咁都有一啲係救翻嘅。咁所以面對嘅時候咧，你唔可以係即係鐵石心腸咁樣嚟去即係反應啊一間呢啲咁嘅災難。
And what about the fire and the flames? Would not hear about the smoke.
The smoke and the fire, you usually die of asphyxiation, not from getting burnt. It's usually smoke inhalation.
Or already suffocated.
Yeah.
Can I, because I feel I'm a bit of a stone. Like when things like this happen, what you explained, I just move on. Like I do know, like the fire, but I heard it once. I'm
not involved.
Yeah, not interested to see what now. How many years have they? I don't know. Is that also not so good that I should balance?
Chinese.
咁我嘅問題咧就係話，即係有關呢次大火咧，即係我聽咗個消息咧，但係我就如常咁去生活啦，我冇再追蹤多啲關於呢場火，係啦，即係我唔係有好特別嘅感覺咯，我都係唔係好影響我嘅情緒啊，我照如常生活。咁樣我係咪石頭嚟嘅咧？我係咪鐵石心腸？
應該係要轉一轉。
我知嚇，即係我呢個態度係咪即係唔係正常啊？唔係咁好嘅。
If we knew every disaster that was happening right now at this minute, we'd be shocked.
咁我哋喺任何時刻突然間發生一啲嘅突發性嘅災難咧，我哋係好正常咧，係會好震驚嘅。
係咪？如果我哋知道呢一秒全世界嗰啲災害，我哋會係變咗好
震驚
嚇，即係。
There's so many people starving in the world right now.
咁而家其實呢個時刻咧，亦都世界上亦都有好多人咧受緊飢餓之苦。
2 million people in the world die of thirst every year.
Die of thirst.
2 million people a year die of thirst.
咁每年有200萬人咧因為飢渴而死嘅。
That's just one thing.
咁呢個只係一個例子嘅啫。
But if it happens across the harbor, it's very close to us. We may feel a little something different than we would about something we don't hear about, but we know is actually going on.
咁但係如果有一啲事咧，一啲災難發生喺我哋附近嘅，就喺我哋對岸發生咧，因為我哋好接近啊，所以我哋個感覺係特別強烈嘅。咁但係世界各地即係都發生緊好多嘅唔同嘅災難嘅，咁我哋嘅感覺又點？
Just like most people now in the West are against slavery, but there's more slavery now in the world than there ever was before.
咁而家看似咧冇咗奴隸呢一個制度啦，咁但係其實世界各地而家咧好多人咧其實都係過緊一種被奴役嘅生活。
There's more hunger, there's malnutrition. You just go through the list. So many buildings are collapsing every day. So many floods are happening. You have to just pick and I don't want to say pick and choose, but you're going to become a little numb. You're going to become a little, unaffected by these things because it's so common.
咁其實而家我哋如果係接觸世界各地嘅消息，都知道咧好多唔同嘅形式嘅災難其實不斷咁發生緊。咁我哋能夠做到啲咩咧？有陣時我哋都會變得麻木啊。
I would suggest our responsibility is to just pray.
咁我哋嘅責任咧，只係不斷祈禱。
Chant Hare Krishna for those who have not these ones, but everywhere.
即係為呢啲受苦嘅靈魂祈禱咯，唔單止係某一場嘅災難嘅靈魂咯，其實就係為世界各地受苦嘅人祈禱。
That I do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think we have been. I think Prasadam has just officially been announced by the cart coming through the temple room. And it's 1:45, so we have to end. So thank you all for listening. And we hope you enjoy reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is on a daily basis. And that we all receive the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, our entire disciplic